All right. Hello, everybody. This is your favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast. This is Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mike-DELL. And as always, I'm joined by...
Mike-DELL of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right. And this week, it is my pick. So I have picked my favorite DC superhero, the superhero that's on my business card. This is the King of the Seven Seas, Aquaman.
This is ridiculous. All right, there's so many things I want to say right now, Mike-DELL. But one, so Aquaman is clearly your favorite DC superhero.
Well, technically it's Superman, but Aquaman...
Yes, that's what I mean. It always changes.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was Batman. I go, nah, technically it's Superman. But then I'm like, wait, don't you love Aquaman? So you just rotate.
I mean, it depends when you ask me, but I have a special place in my heart. And, for Aquaman, if you want to talk about representation of minorities, Aquaman's the only member of the Justice League with blonde hair. So that's why I could always relate to him. Yes. Anyway.
Because as we've established before in the past, you have red hair. But you
right. Well, my hairdresser says it's blonde, and I've always considered myself an oppressed minority, and so, I like to feel like I'm part of a kind of a tribe. So.
Can you breathe underwater?
No, I wish. I can hold my breath for like a minute and 10 seconds, though.
Oh, that's impressive. So today we're doing Adventure Comics 452 from 1977. And I had, Adventure Comics, Mike-DELL, do you know a lot about the Adventure Comics? Because I did some research.
I know that it started out, I think it's the second ever comic series from DC, right?
Wow, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And I think it was originally called, was it New Fun Comics? Or More
just
Fun?
New Comics.
Right,
so,
okay.
Because there was another title called More Fun Comics.
Right. More Fun than New Fun. I love these titles. Yeah, and I know that. Comics. Right. And at one point it was a Superman. It was basically a Superman title, right? Like Superman was the star, then Supergirl was the star, then Superboy was the star, then the Legion of Superheroes took over, right?
Yes, and Aquaman was the lead character from issues 441 to 452, and then Aquaman got his own series again. So the story we're reading today picks up in his series that it's very convoluted because he had a series and it got canceled, and then they brought it back after this story we're reading today. Right,
the very next story chronologically was Aquaman. I think it was 58, right?
57, I believe.
57, okay.
I think. Because the next issue of Adventure Comics then is Superboy and Aqualad.
Right.
But the Adventure Comics started in 1938, and it ran until 1983, a span of 503 issues. Amazing. And then they brought it back, Mike-DELL, from 2009 to 2011.
I remember that, yep.
And I don't know why it ended after just 2 years, but they said, we had enough. Oh, you know why? The New 52, right?
I think Dan Didio brought it back as kind of like a throwback because he's a fan of the old comics, and they brought it back, and I think it had like Superboy in it or something, and the Legion of Superheroes. But then when they did New 52, they just ditched it, unfortunately. So.
And like I said, it was originally called New Comics, and then the name was changed to New Adventure Comics with issue 12, and then it was finally changed to Adventure Comics with issue 32.
Right.
And Mike-DELL, it is the 5th longest running DC title. Can you name the other 4?
Sure. Detective Comics, Action Comics, Superman, and Batman.
That is correct. Yeah. That is correct. Look at Mike-DELL. Look at Mike-DELL.
I haven't had a girlfriend in 4 years. Okay, go ahead.
Aquaman's real name is Arthur Curry. And I had no idea. I never knew that. Arthur Curry.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I never knew that.
The average Joe on the street knows that Aquaman's name is Arthur Curry. So. Come on.
I think they know him as Fish Boy. That's about it.
Yeah.
And his first appearance was in the aforementioned More Fun Comics, 73, 1941. He was created by Mort Weisinger and Paul Norris. He got his own series in 1962. And then it got canceled because they said, "Wow, you're stupid." And then he came back after the story we're reading today. He got his own little book, and then that got canceled. And then he was just in Justice League of America for a while, right?
Right.
And then eventually they brought him back again, like when Peter David was doing all that stuff with him, right?
Oh, there's like 3 or 4 Aquaman #1s in between there. Yeah.
Feel free to educate us because I did not want to research Aquaman.
Well, basically, they brought him back in '85 with his blue camouflage costume. Then they brought him back again a year or 2 later with a slightly updated origin. Then they brought him back again a couple years later with a new series. Then when Peter David announced that he was taking over, they rebooted it again for like the 5th time, and they rebooted his origin again. And then Peter David drove him for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, and then he got canceled. Then he died. Then he came back. Then they brought him back for the New 52, basically.
Now, you mentioned they rebooted his origin. They did that a few times.
Right.
Let me see if I got this correct, Michael. His original origin, way back in the day, in the 1930s, or 41 when he premiered, was that his mother was like a mermaid from Atlantis, and she had sweet, sweet love with a lighthouse keeper, a mortal lighthouse keeper.
Okay, you're not going to believe this. That's actually his second origin.
What? What was his first one? His
first origin was that his father basically forced him to, it's hard to explain, but like he basically performed experiments on him to give him water breathing ability. But in the original comics, he was not from Atlantis. He was not the king of the 7 seas. He just had water powers. He was not very popular. Yeah, but then he somehow survived cancellation throughout the 50s when almost everyone was canceled except Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Arrow, and him. And then at some point in the 60s, they rebooted his origin, and that's where you get the lighthouse keeper having love, the mermaid.
I forgot I read about his dad. Wasn't his dad like a famous biologist or something, a marine biologist? And
I think so. His name was George Costanza, Yeah.
So then they rebooted him again, and now let me see if I got this one right. Now it's his mom was still like the princess from Atlantis or something, but she made sweet, sweet love with like a wizard, a magician.
Yeah.
And she got pregnant with the kid, and when she had the kid, it had blonde hair, which is the curse of Kordax. Am I remembering that?
I believe
properly?
So, yeah. That's from Atlantis Chronicles, yeah.
Yeah, so that meant the baby was, like a bad seed or something. So her husband abandoned the baby on like a reef somewhere, hoping it would die, but it actually grew up with fish. and that's how he became Aquaman.
Another reason I can relate to him, because the same thing happened to me.
Curse of the Kordax. Now, who's Kordax? He's some villain, right?
Yeah, he was. It was like not a villain, but I think it was like in the Atlantis Chronicles. It was like a Game of Thrones-ish type thing underwater, and he was just not evil, but he was just one of the bad characters,
Yeah, that's what I gathered, and I was reading that he was just some villain. So he must have cursed Atlantis and said, "Hey, here's the curse of Kordax, a blonde-haired kid." So Mike-DELL, in the movies, Aquaman is not blonde. He's Jason Momoa fellow with the underwater Roman Reigns, as I like to describe him, for you wrestling fans out there. So how do you feel about him not having blonde hair?
Well, to be honest, I think Jason Momoa is a cool actor. He's awesome, but he's not right for that role at all. I don't think.
Like I had never known the blonde hair was so integral to his character, but I mean, that's a big thing.
Right.
Hair.
I think the blonde hair being special was only introduced in the 80s, though. As far as him being like an outcast, like the 80s or 90s. So.
And Aquaman, of course, always wears like an orange shirt and green pants.
Right.
And green gloves, I guess, sometimes.
Did you come across how they explained that in the 80s?
I did not.
In his third rebooted origin, he was basically taken prisoner, and that was the outfit the prisoners all wore. And when he broke out, he kind of, wore it. He continued to wear it as a badge of honor, basically. It was kind of like an FU, like I'm taking the uniform back, that kind of thing.
Who imprisoned him? SeaWorld?
I don't remember the details. No.
All right, because Mike-DELL, a lot of people make fun of Aquaman. He seems to be like the weak link in the Justice League. You're like, he can talk to fish. That's basically what he does.
Awesome
so it's
power. Yep.
But he's really strong too, though, right? Because he has to deal with all the depth, swimming to great depth. So his muscles, he has to be super strong, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And can he fly?
No, he can't fly. No.
Okay.
He can swim really fast, though.
Yeah. So he can't swim through the air.
No. I'm sure he can die. I think, dolphins can project themselves into the air. I'm sure he can do that.
Yeah, jump out of the water and go soaring. But and he has to he breathes water, and he can breathe on land, but only for a little bit.
Well, I think it's an hour. That's his limit.
An hour. Like Hour Man, in a way.
Wow. A little bit, yep.
Yeah, gets his power. Anything else we should know about Aquaman, Mike? Well, he was married, right? Mira was his wife.
Yes. I think it's also important to mention that he was in the original lineup of the Super Friends, right?
Yes.
So Superman... I was going to say Superman, Batman, and Robin, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. That was, they didn't use Flash. They didn't use Green Lantern. They used Aquaman.
Oh, yeah, because they needed somebody who could ride a seahorse.
Right. You got that right.
Well, Mike-DELL, when I was researching this, they said, his character early on, it seems in the 60s, a lot of people thought of him as a goofball kind of character because of the 60s animated TV show. And I had no idea there's a 60s animated Aquaman TV show, and I tweeted out a little trailer to you today.
Yeah.
What can you tell me? Yeah, I did. So you own the whole series on DVD?
Of course I do. Now, granted, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I do have it, yeah.
I think there was something around 33 episodes, somewhere around there. Yeah. 27, 33, somewhere in that range. But what can you tell us about that cartoon? Because I had the narrator on the trailer I tweeted you, it's the same, it sounded like the same guy who narrated the Super Friends and stuff. Same voice. The
history of the Super Friends cartoon is a little bit, it's very confusing because I don't know exactly how... Huh?
Wait a minute. Something connected to DC is confusing in its history.
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
That
doesn't sound DC.
Basically, Super Friends started, but sometime around, in the late 60s, there was also a Superman cartoon, a Batman cartoon, a Superboy cartoon, an Aquaman cartoon, and I don't know what came first, but I know that at some point when you watched Super Friends, it was not all Super Friends. It was half the show Super Friends and half the show was, a Batman cartoon. So I don't know at what point Aquaman in there when it came out, but it was probably the exact same, animators and writers and voiceover artists as Super Friends, for sure.
So the Super Friends cartoon, it actually started in the 60s?
It started, yeah. I think it started in 69. It lasted 13 seasons.
Yeah, because I was born in 75, so I just remember seeing it when I was a little kid in the 70s. But 59, all right.
Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. 73, I'm sorry. 70.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, wow, that is nuts. Super Friends. They really are super friends. All right, so I guess that's all we need to know about Aquaman, thankfully.
I could talk for hours, but...
Well, the reason you picked this issue, Mike-DELL, is because a certain significant event happens.
Yes.
Should we keep it? Let's keep it a surprise.
We'll keep it a secret. All right.
All right, we'll talk about it because I have another point I want to bring up, but I'll mention it after we get through the issue. All right, a couple other people we need to talk about. Aqualad.
Yes.
Do you know his real name?
It is. Oh boy, this is embarrassing. It's
It's really.
What is his name?
Well, they said it's Garth.
Is it Garth? Wow, I forgot about that.
Original. Then they changed it later on, they updated Aqualad and they gave him a different name. I forget what, but his original name was Garth. And his first appearance was Adventure Comics 269 in 1960, created by Robert Bernstein and Ramona Fradon.
Yes, great artist.
Yeah, you don't hear too much about her, but a female artist in the 60s. That's pretty
right. And it's funny. I actually had the chance to meet her about 5 years ago, and I stupidly didn't interview her. I really wish I would have. Yeah,
maybe we can get her on the podcast.
Maybe that'd be great.
What do you know about Aqualad? He's Aquaman's sidekick. He wears blue underpants and a red shirt.
I can't believe all this time I didn't know. I forgot his name was Garth, but I know he has obviously dark curly hair.
That's right.
Yeah, dark curly hair, and he has purple eyes. That's an important plot point.
Yes.
And then, and then later on, they changed his name to Tempest, I think in the 90s, to make him cool. Yeah,
and then they give him like magical powers too.
Yeah, I think so, like water-based magical powers, yep.
All right, Stan, we got to talk about Aqua Baby.
Yep.
Arthur Curry Jr., the son of Aquaman and Mera. And his first appearance was Aquaman 23, 1965, and he's created by Nick Cardy. That's a name I do not know. Nick Cardy.
He's a great artist. Great artist.
And Aqua Baby plays a pivotal role in this issue. And I should mention that Aquaman, when he married Mera, that was one of the first weddings in comics. Did you know that?
I think I knew that. Yep. There's a great cover where I think it's by Kurt Swan, and I think Batman and Superman, everyone are at the wedding. It's pretty cool.
And one other person a couple other people. Topo the Octopus. He's not really a person, but we need to mention Topo the Octopus.
Yep.
I guess he's like Aquaman's octopus sidekick, just his buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
His first appearance was Adventure Comics 229, 1956, and he was created by Ramona Fraden. So you could have asked her all about Topo the Octopus.
Yeah.
Had all kind of stories about Topo. Also, the Idealists. It's a sect of the Atlantean people. From what I understand, Mike-DELL, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like 3 major groups of Atlanteans. Is that true?
Yes. There's the city of Poseidon, the city of Triton, I think, is it?
Yep.
And I don't know what the other group is.
Well, I guess the Idealists count as the third.
Okay. They're
like an offshoot.
I've never come across them besides this.
Oh, really?
Never.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, they're kind of like an offshoot, like a cult almost that broke off from the others and kept to themselves. But yeah, I couldn't think of the other name. But yeah, as soon as you said Triton or whatever, yeah, there it is. And the final person we need to discuss is Black Manta.
Right.
Who I always think to call Black Mantis for some reason. But Black Manta.
Okay.
Do you know his real name?
I can't. No, I don't know it.
This is great. They just have it as his name, Dave.
I love it.
No known last name, just Dave. And his first appearance was Aquaman 35, 1967. And he was created by Bob Haney and Nick Cardy.
Yeah.
So Black Manta. Now, if you're familiar with the Super Friends cartoons and Justice League of America and all that, you're probably familiar with Black Manta because he was always depicted as Aquaman's arch villain, and he has like a black wetsuit on and like a big helmet with big eyes, and he's like little hoses connecting the helmet to his body because he's a surface dweller, right, Mike-DELL?
Yes. He was also in the movie. He was in the movie. I should point that out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And he can like shoot lasers out of his eyes, right?
Through the helmet. Yep.
And we learn a very important plot point or a characteristic of Black Manta in this issue, but I don't want to talk about it now. Let's wait till the big reveal.
Yep.
Now, do you know much about Black Manta's history?
Oh, honestly, no. I've read every issue of Aquaman from like 68 to 98, and I don't remember anything.
Okay. It's pretty convoluted and confusing. And again, with DC, you can never tell when it's been rebooted and retconned and stuff. But like his original origin way back in the day was that he was like a 15-year-old kid. He was kidnapped by pirates. Like he was somehow abducted and taken on, forced to be like as a crew member on the ship. And one day he saw Aquaman, like riding a dolphin or something like Aquaman likes to do. And he tried to wave down Aquaman saying, "Hey, save me, Aquaman, save me." Aquaman did not see him.
Okay.
So from that point on, Black Manta just was obsessed with getting Aquaman because he didn't save him when he needed him. Then his story gets really weird because he becomes taken into some hospital and he's experimented on and all kind of weird shit's done to him. He's tortured and all kind of weird stuff. And he murders some people and he kind of went loopy but he was still always obsessed with getting Aquaman, wanting to kill Aquaman.
Not a very good origin to me, anyway.
Yeah, that's Black Manta. All right, so I guess that brings us to the issue, Mike-DELL. I think we're finally ready to go.
All right.
So let's talk about the cover here. Adventure Comics 452.
Yes. Yeah, we got the classic DC Bullet, and then we got Adventure Comics starring Aquaman number 452 for 35 cents.
How do you feel about that Aquaman font?
I kind of love it. It's very 80s, and that's my jam. So
I would say it's very 70s.
Okay, very 70s, very late 70s. Yeah.
And this is 77, but like it's a little bloated, puffy letters.
Right.
And the Q, if you look at the Q, it kind of looks like a fish.
Oh, I never noticed that. Good point.
Yeah, a little bit. Like a fish. So what else is on the cover here, Mike-DELL?
We've got Black Manta and his goons standing, and Black Manta thumbs down like a Roman emperor. And then we've got Aquaman with his neck chained, and he's about to get killed by none other than Aqualad, his partner.
Yeah, Aquaman's in the extreme foreground.
Right.
A chain around the neck, like you said, and Aqualad's standing over him with a trident, ready to jam it into his face. And Black Manta and his goons are like, they're standing up around like a wall, and like Aquaman and Aqualad are in a pit, fighting in a pit. And this cover is by Jim Aparo.
Of course.
Who also drew the issue. Mm-hmm. And I guess we should say David Michelinie.
Yeah, wrote it.
Michelinie wrote it. It's a good cover, but there's some wonkiness here with the perspective and on Aqualad.
Yeah, well, even to be honest, look at Black Manta. Like, it looks like they squished him down just to fit him under the logo, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they did. But yeah, there's all kind of issues here with Aqualad's perspective and foreshortening, and even Aquaman's leg. Like, I get what he's trying to do there, but that calf is enormous. The calf is bigger than the thigh, and it's just it's a little weird. He's trying to show like it's twisted out, but that's still wrong. But it's still a good cover.
Aqualad looks good, though. I honestly think Aqualad looks good. Like his
look at the size of his head and his arm, the length of his arms compared to no.
I don't know. I think Jim Aparo is known for elongating limbs for some reason, so I think that's just his thing. But anyway.
Like his torso, compare his torso to his head, and it's a it's a shambles, but it's still effective. It works. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, we got a big bubble there.
Right. Aquaman versus Aqualad, a new novel-length sea spectacular.
Yeah, I got a qualm with that because it is clearly not novel length.
No, it's clearly only like 32 pages long, but whatever.
Yeah, because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, fuck, am I in for like 300 pages of this nonsense? No, it was only 30. All right, so. And I'm like, as soon as we get into the book, the first thing we see is an advertisement. Batman and Robin, Birds of a Feather. And,
it looks really good, too. This is, I wonder who this artist is. It's probably Kurt Swan. It looks really good.
Looks like Kurt Swan.
Yeah.
Kurt Swan-ish.
Yeah.
Him. And, it's a commercial for Hostess Cupcakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, are these, I guess they are. Yeah. I thought these were Kingdoms, or is that something else?
Something else. These are the Hostess Cupcakes, the chocolate ones with the white swirls on the top.
Yeah. Okay.
Good stuff. All right, so now we finally get to the issue, Mike-DELL, with Aquaman, a big splash page. The title of the issue is Dark Destiny, Deadly Dreams.
Yep. So Aquaman is in the middle of fighting these are the, what are they called again?
I have no idea.
They're not the
idealists.
They're not the idealists. Okay,
these are Black Manta's henchmen.
Ah, right. So he's in the middle of fighting.
Yeah, they're dressed in like purple outfits, and they got oxygen tanks because they're surface dwellers.
Right, and he's trying to get help from these other guys, but they won't help him because they're pacifists, right?
Yeah, they're the idealists.
Like right.
The guys standing around in like the red and blue outfits, they're the idealists.
Right,
and the dudes in the purple, Manta's henchmen. Yeah.
Right. And so then Aquaman flashes back and kind of explains what was shown last issue, which is his faithful Topo mysteriously kidnapped Aquababy and basically just took off with him. So he's like, what in the heck is going on? And then he went searching for him, but he was interrupted by an attack by the alien conqueror Starro. You know Starro, Mike-DELL?
Vaguely. He's just a giant starfish.
Right, and he like does mind control and all that. So anyway.
Aquaman punched him right in the eye.
Right. Yep. Good night. So anyway, so then he kept going. He ran into these idolists who are a band of purple-eyed men who ask Aquaman to save one of their own heroes, a hero who surprisingly turned out to be Aqualad, who, as we said earlier, has purple eyes, right?
Yeah, it's very confusing, though, because like Aqualad isn't an idealist, and it's so strange.
Yeah, well, I think they just assumed he was, right? Just because he's got the purple eyes, but he's not. But who knows? Maybe they get into it in future stories. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then Aquaman went with them, and then that's when they run into these goons, right? So we're brought up to speed. So he's fighting these goons, and basically he uses his power to speak to all sea life, and he gets an octopus and what are these, 2 dolphins to come and help him.
Because again, it's always the fish doing the work, not Aquaman. And they get no credit. No credit, Mike-DELL. He doesn't even say thanks.
That's a good point.
He doesn't even give him like a gift card to Applebee's. Nothing.
Just,
how do you feel about how they depict his using the powers, like little circles coming out of his head?
I think it's awesome.
They did the same thing in the cartoons, right? Isn't that?
Oh yes, that's
that's exactly
love
right.
that. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. So after the fish beat up the goons, then Aquaman is talking to those idealist kids again, and
I love how even though they're underwater, they're laying on the ground, knocked out. Like they don't just float away. But
well, they do have those heavy oxygen tanks and stuff. So I guess it's weighing them down. I don't know. But yeah, so he goes in and he finds some more of these guys because where do they go to, like an underwater city? Oh, they find the idealist underwater city.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's more goons, but then and then Aquaman gets attacked by a hammerhead shark, right?
He tries to call in the hammer, look, because you can see the little circles going from his head to the hammerhead. So he's trying to control the hammerhead to bring in, because again, he doesn't want to dirty his own hands with fighting. He wants his fish slaves to do all the dirty work. But this hammerhead shark has other ideas. He just zooms in behind him and cracks him over the head. Yeah, score 1 for the fish. Yeah, take that, Aquaman, you creep.
So anyway, then we cut away to a what is this? An interlude that really is not explained, but you see 2 guys on this boat, and one of them gets sort of captured by this. What is that called? Not a fishing line. I guess it's a fishing line.
Well, they're like government dudes, and one guy he's talking about how like some delegates have been disappearing. Diplomats, prominent diplomats have disappeared. Yeah.
And they want to send in NATO troops to help. But he's like, oh, it has to be approved, and blah, blah, blah. So then they're talking. In the middle they're talking, the one guy, he just suddenly vanishes because he gets yanked up by this, like I said, fishing line.
Yeah, it looks like a fishing line with like an arrowhead at the end of it.
Right. So it's probably a villain or something, right?
Yeah, you don't know who that is, though, Mike-DELL. You can't tell by the arrow, the one you're familiar with. All right.
No. I'm sure it's revealed in Aquaman 57, though. So.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think it probably, because I think the next issue is all about Black Manta still, but who knows? But,
so then Aquaman wakes up and he's in this little underwater shed.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. I don't understand any of this, like the logic, but we'll get into it in a minute because there's a bigger problem here.
Yeah,
but, in terms of like the Atlantean logic.
I know. There's like a table and a box and like a rake. What is all that? You're right. I don't know what the hell any of that is. I didn't even notice it before.
You need a rake at the bar. All right, anyway. But yeah, Aquaman's handcuffed and hanging by his hands from a hook in a wall. And then on the opposite wall is Aqualad and another dude.
Right. Who is, this is Macan, right?
Yeah, something like Macan. Yeah.
So he is an idolist. What do you call him, an idealist?
Either, like, I would say idealist is how I would pronounce it.
But it's not. But it's spelled IDYLISTS.
I guess idyllic.
Idyllic. Yeah, idealists. Idealists. I think it's idealists.
Yeah, let's go with idealists.
Yeah, idealists. I'll just say idealists. Okay, so idealists. Aquaman's like, just who the blazes are these blasted idealists, and who has us strung up like this, and what? Please let me explain. It's all my fault anyhow. So then this guy explains that when he was a kid, right?
No. When he is a dad, he had a kid.
Yeah. Right. He had a kid. Right. And then you see, Cyan was but a child 10 years ago when a band of purple-eyed cultists came to preach in Atlantis. I disapproved of their philosophies, but didn't trust them, so forbade Cyan to listen. Perhaps it was that same strictness that caused Cyan to run away. So basically his son takes off to go look for them, right?
And to go join the Idealists.
Right, and then he's like, when I saw a photograph of Aqualad, I thought maybe that his purple eyes, the first I'd ever seen since that fateful day, branded him an Idealist. And I determined to make him lead me to my son. Only I found out that Aqualad was not an Idealist, wasn't even aware that there were other people with purple eyes like him. So
but I like in that panel when he says that, only I found that Aqualad was not an Idealist. And the panel depicts Aqualad just punching this dude in the face.
And he doesn't even know. I'm going to leave out that detail. Let's just move ahead. Yeah.
I'm not an Idealist, you creep. Pow.
Yeah.
Face.
Yeah. So basically, so he's like banding together for our separate goals. We begin searching for the Idealist colony, the fabled city of the lost tribes. And as you can see, we found it. So that's what's going on here. Yeah. And it's funny because so they don't know who's behind all this. And then
so that guy and Aqualad are basically looking for that guy's son, and they get captured. And now Aquaman, who's looking for Aqualad, he gets captured.
Right. And then Aquaman's like, just who is behind those armed weirdos that attacked me? Really, Aquaman? Your powers of deductive reasoning are simply deplorable. And then we flip to the next page. What? Black Manta! Who are you expecting, perhaps? Peter Benchley? I don't even know who that is. Do you?
He is the author of Jaws.
Okay. Good one.
Not to be confused with Robert Benchley of the Algonquin Roundtable, one of my favorite writers. But no, this is Peter Benchley. Interesting. He also wrote The Deep and a couple other stuff. So I guess he was popular. This came out in 1977. I guess Jaws was all the rage. So I guess Peter Benchley reference to get all the kids. Because I'm sure all the kids reading Aquaman, they also read Jaws.
Maybe. But anyway, that's kind of a funny reference. But anyway. So this is what's funny is I actually had no idea this is the first time this is revealed. But after exchanging quips, Black Manta is explaining what he's going to do. And he's like, no obstacle is insurmountable if the desire to surmount it is great enough. And so I've recruited enough of my own people to serve that purpose quite adequately. Your people? You mean surface dwellers? Then the next panel, all of a sudden, his mask is off, and it's revealed that he is black. He's an African American. No, I mean exactly what I said, my people. Or have you ever wondered why I'm called Black Manta?
That is tremendous. When I read that, I couldn't believe it. I thought, wait, is this a joke? Is this a rib? What's going on? Because basically any comic book character before like 1990, if they were black, they had to have black in their name.
It's true.
It's pretty Black much Panther. Like, why'd you think I was called Black Manta?
You're right.
So, but I think this could have been depicted a little better. Like, it's a little weird. Like, you see his helmet in the middle panel, and then in the far right, it's just him without the helmet. They could have like shown him taking the helmet off. Yes. I think that would have been, because for a second I'm like, wait, is that still Black Manta? What's? It's a little weird.
Yeah, that was not well done. That was not smart. It was not true, and that's why, like I said, I kind of when I was reading it, I was like, oh, is this I didn't realize, this is the first time we've seen him without his mask, because they don't make a big deal out of it, you know?
Yeah, you think they would have like shown him like a series of panels of him slowly taking the mask off or something, or at least one panel of him taking it off. But yeah, and again, I don't want to get into logic here too much, but he is a surface dweller who supposedly needs his mask to breathe underwater. He takes his mask off, and he just continues to talk like normal.
Yeah, good point.
And then we see him, his mask, 2 panels down, his mask is just suddenly back on his head again, and we don't even see him put it back on. But
that's kind of weird.
But yeah, now why is Black Manta recruiting all these people and doing this stuff underwater, Mike-DELL? He's got a big scheme.
Well, first he's like, so not that, this is weird. Not that racism is my motive. There's no profit in prejudice. But since blacks have been suppressed for so long on the surface, they fight well for a chance to be masters below. And with their help, Sea King, I shall soon be able to trade in this tacky helmet for a crown.
So basically, he wants to take all black people underwater. and start his own civilization with him as the king.
This is kind of weird.
Yeah. But apparently they forgot about. They just got rid of this idea. Like they retooled it a bit, and they never really brought it up again. But
I should also point out David Michelinie is not black. So
no.
This is kind of an awkward time when there was, I think, maybe one black writer in the whole industry.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's kind of, I heard someone describe Black Manta as an aquatic Malcolm X. He's apparently trying to, like, you know, I kind of like the angle a bit. Like, all right, attacking social issues, all right, but it seems kind of clumsy the way they're doing it.
Yeah. So. Like, we'll get into this later, but I am a David Michelinie fan, so we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, he's definitely a good writer. But yeah, it's a little bit awkward. But I mean, yeah, it's a relevant idea, definitely.
So then his helmet just magically pops back on, and he whacks Aquaman in the back of the head, bwhack. And
right.
And Aquaman, he plays possum, Mike-DELL. He pretends to be, like, knocked out.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. I skipped ahead to the advertisement. Hold on.
Oh.
I have to go back. So
There's a lot of advertisements.
Yeah, so he plays possum. Don't worry, pal. I'm still alive and kicking, and he kicks him in the face. It's awesome.
Well,
and then he swims out of the hole in the shed or whatever this is.
Yeah. There's still just crates lying around on the ground.
Yeah, of course, and shovels
with farming implements.
Yeah.
So while Aquaman's trying to escape, Black Manta calls some like, what are those, lanternfish?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. And then he's like, I don't get it. Those angular fish are obeying Manta's commands and ignoring mine. And the way those needlefish are closing in, it looks like they've switched loyalties too. Blast, I hate doing this. So basically, Aquaman regrettably has to let these fish swim to their doom, right? By smashing their faces into this wall.
I don't like when my slaves revolt and try and take power against me. I like when they're, just do whatever I say and sacrifice their lives and their families for my well-being. Right. What is going on?
Yeah.
Sorry, Aquaman. Sorry.
So
Fish
then, anyways,
have feelings, Aquaman. Fish have feelings.
So then Aquaman goes through a hole in another wall, and he stumbles upon a bunch of people standing on the ground because they're underwater, of course. And then Black Manta's like, I see you stumbled onto my gill implant experiments. I'm really quite proud of them. These idolists are brilliant biologists, and their advanced laser techniques should soon allow my men and I to breathe water as easily as you do. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah, so this is the bigger logic issue I had here, Mike-DELL, because they're like this giant like laboratory underwater.
Yeah.
With electrical equipment and quote unquote medical lasers underwater. Yep. How does this work? Like, electricity and water don't go together. How does this work?
I think you should just go with it, suspend your disbelief.
I would like to see, I would prefer to see Atlantis in a way where they've developed other ways of doing things without electricity. They do, I don't know how they do it, but I don't know. It just seems weird. I can't, I just don't like this whole world. Did they have this kind of stuff in the movies? Did they have electronics and computers and stuff underwater?
I don't really remember, but it was, I know that they certainly didn't film it underwater. They just added, blue and bubbles later. But I think one of the problems with Aquaman has always been, how do you show people talking and interacting when everyone's kind of just floating around? You're right. They should have used their imagination more and been like, look, there shouldn't be regular floors. There shouldn't be a shed, that's for sure, with rakes and shovels. But yeah, I guess they just didn't get creative enough.
I'm just the medical stuff and the computers. It's weird. All right, but anyway, so Aquaman, he says, "Hey, you said medical lasers. That gives me an idea." And he's going to shoot Black Manta with the medical lasers.
Right.
But then what happens?
Then Black Manta's like, "Really? And if you harm me, hero, just what do you think will happen to your son and his pet?" What? Arthur Topo? Right. So Aqua Baby and Topo, his pet octopus, are in this cage, trapped in this cage.
Yep.
And so, and so now he's found his son, right? But his son is in this cage. So, but here's the weird thing is they're talking and talking. It's like, don't look so glum, Aquaman. After all, there's no shame in suffering defeat at the hands of one's betters. Haha. And then it cuts to the next scene, and all of a sudden they're just standing in this sort of Coliseum-esque environment with like, you can see at the top there's people around, but
yeah, this is so weird. I don't like. I guess the implication is Aquaman just gave up, and,
right.
And then Aqualad also, because they're worried about them hurting Aqua Baby. So the premise here, it's did they do this in Star Trek, Mike-DELL, or Spock?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So basically, Black Manta says you have to fight each other to the death, and if you don't, I will kill Aqua Baby. And how is he going to kill Aqua Baby, Mike-DELL?
Well, Aqua Baby it's funny because he's drowning, not drowning, but he's suffocating because he's in a bubble of air and he needs water.
Yeah.
Because he's Aqua Baby, right?
Yeah. So Black Manta says the water will slowly leave this little bubble. And so you better fight to the death and do it quick or Aqua Baby's going to suffocate.
That's right.
Which I think that's pretty cool. That's like the fact that he's technically, quote unquote, drowning in air. You know?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, it's really cool. And so this is one of those classic tropes of, whatever genre fiction where you have to force two heroes to fight each other, right? And obviously Aquaman is older and Aqualad is younger.
And I should mention that Aqualad tries to go at Black Manta, but there's also a force field around.
Right.
So they can't. And the force field's also controlled by the little box that Black Manta's holding that controls Aqua Baby's doom, basically.
Right.
So they can't get to Black Manta. They have to fight each other.
That's right. And so Aqualad's probably thinking, well, you know what? I'm sure that we can figure out a way. He looks at Aquaman. Aquaman, I'm sorry, Minnow, but that's my son up there. So then Aquaman jabs him in the stomach with his trident. My son! And then he tries to stab him, and Aqualad gets out of the way, and then fresh blood drifts languidly in the filmy green water. But it is not pain that widens Aqualad's eyes. It is the realization that bonds of friendship have been shattered, laws of civilization cast aside, and that the only rule valid in the arena now is kill or be killed. So that's it. It's a fight to the death, right?
Mike-DELL, when they show Aqualad getting cut and the blood going in the water, like the blood is colored blue. Like,
I know.
Like, is that what it is? Does he have blue blood?
No, that's just the comics code. They were not allowed to show red blood, so they'd always have to color it black or something else.
But you're allowed to kill babies?
Yeah, apparently. Whoa, spoiler. Anyway, I don't know what you're talking about, Mike-DELL.
Can't show a trickle of blood, but
So anyway.
Yeah, so they're still fighting, and Aqualad starts to fight back a little bit, and he hits Aquaman into a fish, because apparently there's still fish swimming around. And what does Aquaman learn, Mike-DELL?
He's like, wait a minute, that grouper that hit the force shield, it's gone berserk, almost like it's been short-circuited. So he realizes these are not real fish. These are Black Manta's, what are they? They're electronic drones. They're not
real fish. I don't want to get into the logic of electronic drones operating underwater, but this explains why Aquaman lost control of like the hammerhead shark before and those other fish, because they weren't real fish. They were drones. That's
right. And so now he realizes, wait a minute, that means that the only real fish around here is Topo, right? The octopus. So he commands Topo to bend the bars of his prison open, so then he gets out and he attacks Black Manta. He grabs the little remote control thing that's going to drown Aqua Baby, right? So
Scrunch crushes it.
And then Aquaman, with a feeble sputter of homeless energy, the force.
What does that even mean? Homeless
I have no idea. And then I have no idea what that means.
Do they mean boundless energy or homeless?
Maybe, yeah. And within the space of a heartbeat, Aquaman has hurled his tri-pronged javelin in an arc that, while desperate, is still precise. So guess what? The day is won, right? It's all going to go back to the status quo when the story's over. Black Manta gets away. Aquaman is swimming.
Well, we should say he throws the trident, but it shatters Aqua Baby's prison. The bubble.
Right. Yeah. So it saved him from being drowned.
Yes, it releases Aqua Baby into the water again.
Right. So then Black Manta's like, blast, I hadn't counted on facing both Aquaman and Aqualad at the same time. Hence, a diversion might be in order to cover my strategic retreat. So then Aqualad's like, Aquaman, and Aquaman's like, I know, Minnow, I know. So he swims, he grabs. What did he grab?
Yeah, these are like Black Manta shoots his lasers out of his eyes to caused some of the ceiling around the Coliseum to fall.
Yeah.
On like these people who are apparently just watching all this, the idolists.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense because they were like completely forgotten about this entire time. And then magically they're here when they need them. And like I get they're pacifists and stuff, but what the hell are they doing?
The problem is they show at the beginning of this scene that there are people watching, but they're not really established. So it's a little bit confusing where they are. And like, we didn't know that those particular guys were there. That's for sure. Right.
So Aquaman has to go and save them from the falling debris, and that lets Black Manta escape. And then he goes and he returns to Aqualad, and I'll let you do the honors.
And then, well, it looks like Manta and his gang got away. So, right, this is just a typical superhero adventure, right? So it seems, Aqualad, so we'll go after them. Just as soon as I check on Arthur Jr. And then, who is this? Oh, this is just one of the idolists, right?
Yeah, just some random lady.
Yeah. She's carrying Aqua Baby, and she's like, I'm sorry. And it cuts to the next page. And then it's, again, a little bit of an awkward transition because all of a sudden it's just this narration. There is hatred in the world. There's injustice, prejudice, corruption. But none of those matter anymore. Not to a once compassionate hero whose soul now sees only anguish and a dark fury that cries to be fulfilled. So it's implied here, yes, Aqua Baby is dead, if you can believe it. So then Aquaman's like, come on, Minnow. Topol can take care of Arthur's body. And we can push ourselves to the limit. We can still catch. No. So there's still one more plot development here. Yep. Aqualad feels so betrayed by the fact that Aquaman wanted to kill him during the battle, but he's no longer going to be his kid sidekick, right?
Yep.
So I think he's like, it'd be better for both of us if I stayed here and helped McCann try to find Cyan. Okay, Aqualad, if that's the thanks I get for taking you under my wing all these years, fine. What were you going to say?
Well, let's read some Aqualad's dialogue here. Okay. It's hard to explain, Aquaman, but you really tried to kill me. I mean, intellectually, I know you had no choice. I probably would have done the same thing, but still, something's changed.
I mean, it would be tough to just go right back to normal, right? If after knowing somebody just tried to kill you, I can understand.
Yeah.
So then Aquaman's like, I'm just going to find the Black Manta myself, and when I do, there's not a power on this planet that can save him. The end.
Yep, there it is. And then we get an advertisement there on the next page about the next issue. They say it's starting with Superboy and Aqualad, and then beneath that we get one for Aquaman, where everyone's favorite Sea King continues his quest for justice, but now in his own mag. That's right, it's Aquaman versus Black Manta in A Life for a Life.
Yep.
Aquaman number 57 on sale May 17th. And we see Black Manta shooting his eye beams at Aquaman. So there it is.
Aqualad's shaking hands with Superboy. He's all smiles now, so I guess he kind of forgot about being betrayed there. But anyway.
Well, he has a new friend. He already moved on. He broke up with Aquaman and he moved on to his rebound hero.
Yeah, there you go.
So there it is, Adventure Comics 452. A couple other things about the story. Well, I guess we'll talk. Dave Michelinie is the writer and Jim Aparo the artist. We've talked about them both on the show before. Michelinie a lot lately. Seems we've talked about him a bunch. And Aparo also drew the Brave and the Bold issue you picked back in the day.
That's right.
Episode 2 of Flea Market Fantasy. But Michelinie, Michelinie. He did 9 issues of Adventure Comics between 441 and 458, and those were the years 1975 to 78. And he also did Aquaman issues 57 to 61 in 77 and 78. And Aparo drew 23 issues of Adventure Comics from 426 to 464. That's a span of 1973 to 79. And he did Aquaman issues 40 to 59. But, Mike-DELL, that's a span of 10 years from 68 to 78 because they had the long break in between.
That's right, yep.
So look at that. All right, so let's talk about the story here first. Michelinie.
Yeah.
Now, Mike-DELL, I read an interview with Michelinie, and a guy was asking him, why did he decide to kill the Aqua Baby? And Michelinie says, well, it's 40 years ago. I can't really remember too much about it. But I don't think I had anything to do with it. I think the plan was already in motion. I just came in and finished the story.
Really?
Yeah. And he was saying maybe it was Paul Levitz.
Yes.
But so according to Michelinie, it wasn't his idea to kill Aquababy. It wasn't. He just just a writer doing a job that he was hired to do. So
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It might have been one of those things where it's kind of like the same old problem with Spider-Man. It's like they get him married, then he has a baby, but they don't want him to seem too old, so they kill the baby and then they get rid of the marriage. Maybe that's what they were doing, right? Like it just made him seem older.
And technically, is Aquababy dead here, or does he technically die a couple issues later?
I think he's dead here, isn't he?
Because there's another writer named Paul Kupperberg or something like that.
Paul Kupperberg, yes.
Yeah, Paul Kupperberg. And I guess he wrote Aquaman, the series, a little bit later. And he had a blog post where he says that he killed Aquababy. Because I guess there's an issue where Mira is on a search to find something that she thinks can save Aquababy. And they have Aquababy in like this little medical device or something trying to keep him alive. And she goes on this search, a hero's quest to find this item that can save Aquababy. She gets it. She comes back. And when she returns with the item, the doctor, whoever, says it's too late. He's dead. So
well, that's kind of stretching it. I don't know. I mean, if you look up this issue on like the DC database, it does say that this is Aquababy's death. So
yeah, like it's a continuation of this story,
Okay.
But so it's like later on after they bring the baby back, they're still trying to revive him, and because on this blog that Paul Kupperberg wrote, he kind of says that he killed Aquababy, but I don't know. I always thought this was the issue where Aquababy died.
I would say it is, yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, interesting footnote on who killed Aquababy. All I can say is I'm glad they killed him because he was a little punk. That but this is a huge moment in the character's life. Obviously, he loses his son, but also Mira breaks up. Like their marriage is on the rocks after this, right?
Right, yeah. Huge status quo change. Yep.
Because she blames Aquaman for the baby's death. But really, I think, obviously Black Manta killed him, but the person who deserves all the blame here is Topo. Like, let's talk about Topo. What the hell is this guy doing? Well, he's an octopus, but whatever. But why did he steal? This makes no sense because in the reasoning, the logic from Aquaman, he gives in the panel, he says, well, I guess Topo, he sensed that Aqualad was in trouble, so he kidnapped Aquababy, so he knew I would follow him.
That makes that's crazy. That makes no sense.
Hey, Topo, why don't you just talk to Aquaman and say, hey, follow me. We got to get Aqualad. No, I'm going to kidnap the baby. Yeah. That made no sense whatsoever. So Topo kidnapped the baby, brought the baby into danger, and then did nothing to save the baby the entire time. Like, why does Aquaman need to tell Topo to break out of his cage? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
What's Topo doing that whole time? He's just chilling in the cage with Aquababy, like, hey, whatever. We're cool. I don't. This Topo, he has he needs some. He has to answer some questions. Is what I'm saying.
Got a lot to answer for.
Yeah. Fuck Topo. Hashtag fuck Topo. Yeah. All right. So that's one of the big issues I have with this. Again, the logic of the Atlantean society, I don't get. The electronics underwater, I don't know. But yeah, the stuff about Topo kidnapping the baby made no sense. The Black Manta, that's why they call me Black Manta. That was a little weird. Also, the Aquaman fighting Aqualad, I guess they're trying to make Aquaman a flawed hero and kind of a dick. So if that's what they're trying to do, then yeah, they succeeded because he just comes off terribly in this issue, right?
Not great.
Like you think he would have some... What's the play here? You usually see the heroes, if they're forced into this situation, you would have like Aquaman lunge at Aqualad and like get real close to him, like locking up. And he would say, hey, pretend that we're fighting until we figure something out.
Of course.
Yeah. But no, Aquaman's just like, oh, I'm going to kill you, Aqualad. Mm-hmm. I need to kill you quickly. And he's trying to kill Aqualad. Not exactly heroic. Let's put it that way.
I'll have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, Aquaman comes off looking like an idiot in this. Just not good at all.
A little cold-hearted. Well, a little bit, maybe temperamental is a better word. He's not thinking straight.
I also don't like the way he talks. Is this how he always talks? Like he would call people fella and chum and stuff like that? Like,
I think it's just the time. I think this is how everyone talked at the time, you know?
I expected him to be a little more regal because he's the king of the Atlantis.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, he wasn't like that.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. This story, I was pretty disappointed.
I thought it was great.
Because I know this is an iconic issue, and I can respect it for what it is, you know, the death of the baby and whatnot, and that kind of stuff. But there's just so much hokey stuff in here. Like the logic of how they just get them to fight. Like there had to be a point where they're taking Aqualad off the hook with his handcuffs, and there had to be a point where they're getting Aquaman into that arena. Like at any point in there, they could have been fighting back, you know?
Well, there's there's obviously a few gaps we talked about. Like even the whole setup of them having to fight to the death. It's like they talk about how this is a book length, a novel length comic, but like, why couldn't they have just set that up? Like it just cuts to the next scene, and all of a sudden they're standing in front of each other, but they don't explain. They don't actually like set up the fact that they have to kill each other. It's just understood. You know, it's almost like there's a missing scene.
Like if they knocked them out and they were unconscious and they wake up in the arena with the weapons, right, and like, okay, but like, no, they were conscious the whole time. Like,
right.
They should have been fighting back. I don't understand. It's just like, okay, let's fight to the, it's just weird. Weird.
They needed to set up they probably wanted to ditch Aqualad, so they figured this was a way to do it, you know?
And then the idealist people just hanging around doing nothing while this is all going on. And then they just appear at the end when some lady's holding the baby.
Uh-huh.
Like, why not have Aquaman go get the baby? I find that, you know what I mean? Just a lot of really weird choices and decisions and illogical things in this story.
You could argue that.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I'm
just re-looking at this. All right, we should talk about Jim Aparo now, because I love Jim Aparo.
Yeah, I am also a big fan of Jim Aparo. Again, it's rock solid stuff. I don't think there's anything spectacular here, but it's just classic comic book storytelling. Although there were some screwed up storytelling moments, like Black Manta taking his helmet off, and but it's still good stuff. One thing I like that Aparo was doing to try and give it a sense that they're underwater is Aquaman's hair is always like waving.
Flowing, yes.
Yeah, flowing hair. So that does give it a sense like it's underwater.
As I was looking through issues to pick, I would definitely say Aparo's peak was late 60s, early 70s, but this is still really good stuff. Like,
yeah, it's not amazing or groundbreaking or innovative in any way, but it's just solid comic book art. So.
Right. Yeah.
All the figures look dynamic in their movements.
Right.
Like last week we talked about Paul Galassi, how he is struggling showing people fighting.
Right.
Here, everything's fluid and dynamic and nice. So, yeah.
Well, even one of the best panels in the whole issue was on Digital 22 when Aquaman discovers that laboratory of guys working. You'll notice how, even though it's a weird angle, like looking like Aquaman's upside down, his figure, it's like perfectly framing all the characters below him, right? Like, it's just so perfectly composed, that shot. And it's one of my favorite panels in the whole issue. I just love it. Anyway.
Yeah, his panel designs here are also a little interesting. Like, nothing too crazy or innovative, but there's a lot of, like, slanted panels and angled panels.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
he's great. I just love him.
Yeah, he's top-notch, Jim Aparo. So... what else about this, Mike-DELL? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I can say the difference. Like, if it's funny because if you were to read the last issue, like if you were to go 56 to 57, even though they're both by Jim Aparo, there's such a difference in the style, right? Because you're going from basically, what is it?
10 years.
Yeah, it's like such a drastic change in style. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting study in how much comics changed in that time.
That would be cool, yeah, to go back and look at early Aparo on Aquaman, and then when they brought the series back, yeah, that would be cool.
Right. Yeah, but this to me still feels modern though. Like this is when I started. Like, I mean, I started reading comics in '82, but this is basically what comics were like when I started reading. So. Yeah.
One other point I wanted to bring up before, we didn't want to spoil it with the Aquababy death. But I believe I read that Aquaman had 2 sons that died. Is that correct?
I don't know. Is that true? I don't think so. Unless he had another son like later on after I stopped reading. I'm not sure.
Let me check that real quick. Because I was going to ask, like, what's going on while all his kids are dying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they just counted Aquababy twice. Cause
maybe. Yeah, I don't see anything about that. I don't remember that.
I'm looking at his, I think it was listed on his Wikipedia page under, like, family, you know?
Really?
Let me look. Partnerships, abilities, species. He's Atlantean demigod. That's a species, if you're wondering.
Cool. Okay.
Abilities. Yeah, I don't see it here. Maybe it's another page I was looking at. All right. Well, whatever. Yep, I guess not. I just imagined it all.
You know, I'm also shocked, and I bet you're the only. I mean, I'm sure that all of our listeners have seen the Aquaman movie. I just can't believe you haven't seen it yet. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, and I looked up where it ranks, and like, because remember last week you said by some metrics, Aquaman is the most popular. So I guess it is like the 9th highest grossing superhero movie. Yeah,
it is.
But I guess if you adjust for era and stuff, and you know that kind of stuff, it drops down the list a bit.
Yeah, it's like number 20 or something. But it made over $1 billion, which, I mean, no matter how you look at it, that's still a huge success. So.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think I found the page. A DC Fandom Aquaman page. They just go through all his family here. A lot of deceased people. His half brother Orm is dead.
Oh yes, of course. I remember Orm.
No, he's not dead. He's not dead. He's alive. He's still out there. All right. He also has a daughter named Andy. Did you know that?
Really? I don't know. I didn't know that. No.
Garth.
Yeah.
Garth is his adoptive son. How about that?
Yeah. I guess he forgave him later, eh?
Yeah. They don't even list Aquababy here, though. So maybe I swear I saw that there was. I don't know. You know what we can do, Mike-DELL, is our fans listening to this can check our Twitter pages, and I'll update it if I find it. But
there you go.
I could have sworn that I saw he had. I guess you would know more than me, though.
Yeah, considering I've read 20 years worth of Aquaman, I should know this, but no, I forgot.
I figured maybe it was like he impregnated a hooker when he was on the land. They tried to hide it. But all right, Mike-DELL. So Aquaman, Adventure Comics 452, 1 out of 10. What would you give it?
Why don't you guess what I'm going to give it?
You're great. If you give it anything more than a 3, I'll be very angry now.
I give it a 7.5.
All right, that seems fair. That's fair. I thought you were going to say 10. No, be ridiculous. We haven't given any book a 10 yet on the show. I've given some 9s out, but never given a 10.
Yeah, I don't think I have. Even Swamp Thing, I think I gave a 9, right?
I know I gave the one Daredevil a 9. I gave the one Spider-Man a 9. Even the one Justice League of America where they had the big fight with all those different villains, I gave that a 9.
Right, yeah.
But no 10s yet. So I wonder what book will be the first 10.
What did you give this then? Did you give the number yet?
I'll give it a 5. Because for the significance of what happens, but I didn't like the story. I thought a lot of logical gaps, a lot of stuff that just did not make sense. Topo was given a free ride. He's the guy who caused all this. Aquaman should forget Black Man. Aquaman should be hunting down Topo. You know, it's just a lot of stuff did not make sense. But I get that this is a pivotal moment for the character, and like it goes in a whole different direction from this.
Yeah.
Like his life kind of falls apart, and so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I was disappointed. I expected more.
I was only disappointed in a few gaps in the storytelling. Other than that, I got what I thought I was going to get, you know?
And we also finally solved the riddle of why he's called Black Manta.
That's right.
All right, Mike-DELL. So next week, let me just say that I'm glad we've got this Aquaman ugliness behind us, because it took 38 episodes, but I knew it was coming eventually. So, but the idea of underwater superheroes it's stupid. I don't want to talk about any underwater people ever again. I don't even know how to swim, Mike-DELL. You understand? So I hate all this stuff. It's all nonsense. It's all stupid. So for next week,
we're doing Submariner.
From 1972, Submariner.
Awesome.
This is the original. The Aquaman is a cheap ripoff of Submariner. Submariner was first. And if you go through their whole history, Aquaman always copies Submariner. So here we go. Submariner, 1972. The writer here is Jerry Conway.
Ah, okay.
Which that seems pretty early for Conway, right? 72? But
that's very early, yeah.
When did he kill Quince? Number 49 of Submariner.
49, okay.
And I picked this issue because Dr. Doom is in it. Also, MODOK is in it. And the big reason is the Cosmic Cube is in it. And this plays into an issue I was going to pick, but I decided to. So my next pick after this will also involve the Cosmic Cube. So we can get a little intro to the Cosmic Cube in this story. But the real underwater hero, Submariner.
Nice. So obviously you picked this to maintain the theme, right?
Yes. Yeah, because originally I was going to pick something else.
Cool.
But then I said, we got to do this. So we're going Submariner 49, 1972.
Nice. All right. So I guess that wraps up this episode of Flea Market Fantasy. If you are listening out there, feel free to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, but also Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify. Please comment. Please email us at mail@comicbooksyndicate.com. Let us know what you think of our reviews. Let us know what you think of the comics. And,
One other question, Michael. Do you think Aquaman eats fish sticks?
I doubt it.
Yeah. Like, he just avoids all fish entirely.
Probably.
Yeah. I would hope so. Yeah, well, he doesn't treat them like friends. He treats them like slaves, but whatever.
That's neither here nor there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I don't know. All right, so hopefully no more Aquaman, right, for the rest of the show?
Oh, that was the first of many. But anyway, so every week we review a different Bronze Age comic. Maybe we'll have another guest coming up soon. Who knows, right? Maybe a certain co-host of the LCS Hockey Show. We never know.
That's never going to happen.
All right. So until next Tuesday, disperse!